Today's meeting of the Boston City Council. Viewers can watch the council meeting on YouTube at boston.gov/city-council-TV. At this time, I ask my colleagues and those in the audience to please silence their cell phones and electronic devices. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll to ascertain the presence of a quorum?
Councilor Braden. Here. Councilor Coletta Zapata. Here. Councilor Durkin. Councilor Fernandez Anderson. Councilor Fitzgerald. Here. Councilor Flynn. Here. Councilor Louis-Jean.
Here.
Councilor Mejia. Here. Councilor Murphy. Here. Councilor Paven. Here. Councilor Santana. Here. Councilor Weber. Here. And Councilor Worrell. Here. A quorum is present.
Thank you. I have been informed by the clerk that a quorum is present. Now it is my pleasure to introduce this week's clergy, Father Sheridan from Charlestown, invited by Councilor Coletta Zapata. Councilor Coletta Zapata, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am thrilled to have Father John Sheridan here, who is a friend to many. I asked if he had been here before. He said, oh yeah, so he is no stranger to this chamber and has helped my predecessors start off this meeting off right. Father Sheridan, just a little bit about him, is the pastor of the Charlestown Catholic Collaborative, which comprises of parishes of St. Francis de Sales, St. Mary, St. Catherine, as well as Harvest on the Vine Food Pantry and Good Shepherd School, both of which are under the auspices of St. Mary's and St. Catherine. A native of Newton, Father Sheridan hails from a family of 8 brothers and sisters. His father Dennis came from County Mayo, Ireland, while his mother Elizabeth was baptized at St. Joseph in Somerville. For Father Sheridan, the church has always been a constant in his life. He is a product of Mary Immaculate of Lourdes Parish, the Newton Public Schools, and St. John's Seminary in Brighton. Father Sheridan was ordained as a priest in 1990. He has served as a curate, chaplain, and pastor in the variety of assignments throughout the Archdiocese, including 3 collaboratives. His previous assignment was Blessed Mother of Morningstar Parish, comprising of Our Lady of Grace in Chelsea and Everett, and the St. Mary's of Assumption in Revere and Malden. I am beyond grateful for the blessings of Father Sheridan and what he has done in the Charlestown community since his arrival in our beautiful 1 square mile. His support particularly of Harvest on the Vine, a food pantry that provides twice a month food distribution to Charlestown residents, is particularly close to my heart. The Harvest on the Vine food pantry is dedicated to helping all members of our community regardless of religious affiliation. And so I want to give a big shout out to Tom McDonald, who Father John works with closely and manages the pantry. So it is an honor to welcome Father John to the council chambers today, again, to provide today's invocation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words. It's good to be with you this afternoon, excuse me. My friends, let us pray. We stand less a week from elections with campaigns that have been bitter and divisive in a country in need of healing, grace, and hope. In our city, in our archdiocese, we are grateful for the leadership of the extraordinary Sean Cardinal O'Malley, for his wise, and we are so grateful for his wise and caring ministry as now he moves on to his next mission. And as we welcome Archbishop-elect Richard Henning and all that he will bring. And in the midst of it all, we pray that we will find you, our light and our hope. O loving God, we give you praise for autumn and the season to come. Changes in our midst, challenges and opportunities surround us in our city, our commonwealth, our country, and our world. Change is difficult for us. It makes us feel anxious. Help us to learn from nature how life must change. Guide us through the changes that are occurring in the land around us. Bless the passages and the transitions that happen in our lives. Help us to learn to find you in the midst of them all. And when these changes in life cause us pain and anguish, guide us to a deeper understanding. May you shower peace, justice, and mercy upon us all. Help us to see what brings us together and make us wise discerners of all that is true, right, and good for us all, especially the weak and vulnerable in our midst. May we let go of our fears and doubts with courage and lead us closer to you. And we ask all this in your name. Amen.
We will now recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Councilor Coletta Zapata, and thank you, Father Sheridan, for that invocation. Mr. Clerk. Okay, we have everyone here. We are now on to the first order of business, which is the approval of the minutes from the meeting on Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it, but Councilor Flynn, would you like to speak on your nay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'm voting nay because I'm still waiting for documents I requested for 17F relating to BHA and the poor service of the elevators in many buildings. I think this is a public safety issue. It's a quality of life issue. And I'm going to continue to advocate for our BHA residents to get this information and to ensure that BHA residents are treated with respect and dignity.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Clerk, please note that there are no substantive recommended changes to the minutes, and so that nay does not come with any substantive recommendations to changes. The next order of business is approval of the minutes from the meeting of Friday, October 25th, 2024. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The minutes of the October 25th meeting are approved. We are now on to communications from Her Honor the Mayor. Mr. Clerk, would you please read dockets number 1613 to 1619?
Docket number 1613, message in order for your approval in order to reduce the fiscal year 25 appropriation for the Reserve for Collective Bargaining by $881,479 to provide funding for the Boston Public Schools for the fiscal year 25 increases contained within the collective bargaining agreement between the Boston Public School Committee and AFSCME Council 93 and affiliate Local 230 cafeteria workers. Docket number 1614, message in order for a supplemental appropriation order for the Boston Public Schools for fiscal year 25 in the amount of $881,479 to cover the fiscal year 25 costs items contained within the collective bargaining agreement between the Boston School Committee and the AFSCME Council 93 and affiliate Local 230 cafeteria workers. The term of the contract is September 1st, 2023 through August 31st, 2027. The major provisions of the contract include base wage increases of 2% in September of 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026, with an additional annual wage increases of $500, $250, $900, and $800 per employee in September of 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026, filed in the office of the City Clerk on October 28, 2024. Docket number 1615, message in order for your approval in order to reduce fiscal year 25 appropriation for the Reserve for Collective Bargaining by $457,886 to provide funding for the Boston Public Schools for fiscal year 25 increases contained within the collective bargaining agreement between the Boston School Committee and the Lunch Monitors, AFSCME Council 93. Docket number 1616, message in order for a supplemental appropriation order for the Boston Public Schools for fiscal year 25 in the amount of $457,886 to cover the fiscal year 25 costs item contained within the collective bargaining agreement between the Boston School Committee and the Lunch Monitors, AFSCME Council 93. The term of the contract is September 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2027. The major provisions of the contract include step changes in September 2023, base wage increases of 2% in September of 2024, 2025, and 2026, and increases of 15 cents, 60 cents, and 56 cents to be added to the hourly wages in September 2024, 2025, and 2026. Filed in the office of the City Clerk on October 28, 2024. Docket number 1617, message in order for your approval in order to reduce the fiscal year 25 appropriation for the Reserve for Collective Bargaining by $40,838 to provide funding for the Boston Public Health Commission for the fiscal year 25 increases contained within the collective bargaining agreements between Boston Public Health Commission and SEIU Local 888 Coordinators Unit. Docket number 1618. Message in order for a supplemental appropriation order for the Boston Public Health Commission for fiscal year 25 in the amount of $40,838 to cover the fiscal year 25 cost items contained within the collective bargaining agreement between the Boston Public Health Commission and the SEIU Local 888 Coordinators Unit. The terms of the contracts are July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, and July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027. The major provisions of the contracts include base wage increases of 2% in October of 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026, and flat amount additions of $500, $250, $900, and $800 to be added in January of 2024, 2025, 2026, and 2027. Filed in the office of the City Clerk on October 28, 2024. And docket number 1619. Message in order for your approval, an order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amount of $1,515,000 for the purpose of paying the cost of a feasibility study through schematic design for the roof, window, and door replacement projects for the following schools: Kenny Elementary School, O'Donnell Elementary School, Adams Elementary School, Chittick Elementary School, Everett Elementary School, Gardner Pilot Academy, Linden Elementary School, and Murphy K-8 School.
Thank you. Dockets number 1613 to 1619 will be referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1620?
Docket number 1620, message in order for your approval, in order appropriating from the Edward Ingersoll Brown Fund the sum of $423,500 for projects described in the attached order. The Edward Ingersoll Brown Fund Commissioners met on October 15, 2024, and voted to approve these projects.
Thank you. Docket number 1620 will be referred to the Committee on City Services and Information Technology. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1621?
Docket number 1621, message in order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend an in-kind donation of 1,500 turkeys valued at $75,000 donated by Stop and Shop. The purpose of this donation is to provide turkeys for Thanksgiving to families in the City of Boston.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, and I want to thank Stop and Shop for this generous donation. The Chair moves for suspension and passage of docket number 1621. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Thank you. Docket number 1621 has passed. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1622?
Docket number 1622, message in order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amount of $56,890.04 in the form of a grant for the fiscal year 25 Municipal Road Safety Grant awarded by the United States Department of Transportation, passed through the Mass Executive Office of Safety and Security, to be administered by the Police Department. The grant will fund high-visibility traffic enforcement of motor vehicle laws, including but not limiting to speeding and aggressive driving, distracted driving, impaired driving, and occupant protection, as well as traffic safety equipment.
Thank you. Docket number 1622 will be referred to the Committee on Public Safety and Criminal Justice. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1623?
Docket number 1623, message in order authorizing the City of Boston to accept various donated furniture with a fair market value of $39,825 donated by Furniture Trust Organization, Inc., to be administered by the Property Management Department. The donation will support the Property Management Department's mission to enhance management properties, making them more welcoming and vibrant while aligning with the city's sustainability and climate goals.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, and I want to also thank Furniture Trust Organization for this donation of furniture to the Property Management Department and to the city. The chair moves suspension of passage of docket number 1623. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Thank you. Docket number 1623 has passed. Mr. Clerk, will you please read docket number 1624?
Docket number 1624, message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Jessica Boatwright as a member of the Building Emissions Reduction and Disclosure Review Board, also known as BERDO, for a term expiring April 24th, 2026.
Thank you. Docket number 1624 will be referred to the Committee on Planning, Development, and Transportation. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 16225?
Docket number 1625, message transmitting certain information under Section 17F pertaining to information on residential tax relief proposal, filed on docket number 1514, presented at the October 10th, 2024 meeting.
Thank you. Docket number 1625 will be placed on file. We are now on to reports of public officers and others. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1626?
Docket number 1626, communication was received from the city clerk of the filing by the Boston Planning and Development Agency regarding report and decision application of Faneuil Gardens redevelopment, Chapter 121A project.
Thank you. Docket number 1626 will be placed on file. We are now on to matters recently heard. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1351?
Docket number 1351, order for a hearing to discuss the extension of free museum passes exclusively for Boston Public School families.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the chair of the Committee on Education, Councilor Santana. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. The Committee on Education held a public hearing on docket number 1351 on Monday, October 28, 2024, to discuss the extension of free museum passes exclusively for Boston Public School families. This matter was sponsored by Councilors Murphy and Flynn. We were also joined by our colleagues, Council President Nguyen and Councilor Braden. The committee invited a panel of 4 members of the administration: Ashley Grauffenberger, Chief Financial Officer of the City of Boston; James Williamson, the Director of the Office of Budget Management; Cara Elliott Ortega, the Chief of Arts and Culture; and Stephen Chan, the Senior Advisor for Partnerships of the Mayor's Office. I would like to extend my thanks to Chief Elliott Ortega for joining us and being prepared to speak about this program on behalf of the administration and sharing opening remarks. Unfortunately, the other invited members of the administration were unable to attend. At the request of the sponsors who wished to ask questions specifically to those personnel, the committee elected to adjourn the hearing early so that we could schedule an additional hearing at a time when the appropriate members of the administration are available to answer questions. The committee also invited 2 members of the leadership team of the Boston Children's Museum who joined us and provided testimony as a participating institution in the BPS Sundays pilot. Those individuals were Carol Sarno, CEO and President of the Boston Children's Museum, and Charlene Morrell-Smith, who's the Vice President, External Relations and Corporate Development for the Boston Children's Museum. I want to extend my appreciation again to the Boston Children's Museum for participating in the hearing, as well as for the amazing work you do for our children and families in Boston. The Boston Children's Museum is a foundational institution in our city, and one that I am proud to have visited many times with my family and friends, and as a child myself. Before adjourning, the committee also heard public testimony. As chair of the Committee on Education, I want to thank the panelists, members of the public, and my colleagues who participated in Monday's hearing. And again, thank you, Councilors Murphy and Flynn, for sponsoring this hearing. It is my recommendation as chair that this docket should remain in committee at this time. And again, I am committed as chair to working with the sponsors and the administration to schedule an additional hearing when we can ensure that the appropriate personnel are available to answer our questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Docket number 1351 will remain in committee. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1197?
Docket number 1197, ordinance amending the City of Boston Code, ordinance Chapter 7, Section 7, regulating restrictions on park frontages.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the chair of the Committee on Government Operations, Councilor Coletta Zapata. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. The Committee on Government Operations held a hearing on Monday, October 28th on this ordinance that amends the City of Boston Code, Chapter 7, Section 7, regulating restrictions on park frontages. This ordinance was sponsored by Councilor Durkin and referred to the committee on July 24th of this year. During the hearing, we heard from Liza Meyer, who is the interim Parks Commissioner, Diana Fernandez-Bibo from the Planning Department, and a local architect involved in the two Charles Gate proposal. We also received a significant amount of correspondence and public testimony from advocates both in favor and against this project. We discussed the against this proposal. We discussed the contents of this proposal, which seeks to restrict the heights of buildings erected or altered on land which abuts on, has entrance to, and is within 100 feet from parks in the City of Boston. This section of the code very specifically describes the bounds to which the restrictions apply and explicitly exempts Charles Gate West from such restrictions, but also protects abutting areas from future subdivisions. So I think at this point there was a lot of conversation around subdivisions, and due to the level of correspondence from the community and just some various legal questions that I still have that require additional analysis, my recommendation as chair is to keep this in the Committee of Government Operations. Thank you.
Thank you. This docket number 1197, will remain in committee. Mr. Clerk, could you please amend the record to reflect that Councilor Durkin is not present with the body? Apologies, she was came in a while ago, but if you could update that on the record. Yep. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1612?
Docket number 1612, message in order for your approval. A home rule petition to the general courts entitled Petition for a Special Law, an act relative to property tax classification in the City of Boston.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the chair of the Committee on Government Operations, Councilor Caleta Zapata. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. This matter was originally sponsored by Michelle Wu and referred to the committee on October 25th, 2024. Docket 1612, so just to summarize the legislation for those listening in, it is a home rule petition that seeks permission from the state to, if and when necessary over the next 3 years, divert from the general laws when setting a minimum residential factor for the City of Boston, allowing for an increase in the tax burden shifted from residential to commercial properties. The proposal states that the temporary diversion would only be necessary if the standard and current minimum residential factor would result in residential class properties bearing a higher percentage of the total property tax levy than the year prior. The temporary diversion would follow a 3-year schedule starting in FY25 and allow for an increase of up to 181.5% in the first year, up to 180% in the second year, and up to 178% in the final year, after which the city will return to the currently utilized classification system provided for in the general laws, which caps the commercial burden at 175%. Regarding the matter of shifting the commercial burden, the committee has held 3 hearings and a working session. A previous home rule petition, docket 0642, was filed on April 3rd, 2024, and was passed through majority by this council on June 5th, 2024. After continued negotiations with the business community and discussions with residents, an updated home rule petition, the current docket 1612, was filed with the council on October 25th, 2024. The committee held the hearing to discuss docket 1612 on Tuesday, October 29th, 2024, and heard testimony in support of the proposal from Ashley Grafenberger, our CFO and treasurer, Nicholas Arianello, the Commissioner of Assessing, and Marty Walls, interim president of the Boston Municipal Research Bureau. The panel explained that the new home rule petition, which is currently before the council, is designed to moderate the financial impact of potentially reducing commercial property valuations on residential taxpayers. It was explained that property tax classification limits are statutorily capped, limiting how much property tax levy can be shifted across classes. The panelists highlighted that this proposal would create stability for all taxpayers while softening the impact on residential taxpayers. The administration clarified that the home rule petition, if passed, would simply grant the City of Boston the legal authority to take certain actions if and when they choose. Each specific action, such as setting the tax rate, determining the residential and personal property tax exemptions, and providing direct relief to small businesses, would include further collaboration and process with the approval of the City Council. In response to concerns raised about the potential impact of increased commercial property taxes on the business community, the administration explained that the petition includes specific measures to support small businesses. The first provision would allow the City Council to establish a personal property tax exemption up to $30,000, an increase from the current allowable exemption of $10,000. Personal property taxes apply to business equipment that is not affixed to real estate, including tables, chairs, computers, barber chairs, TVs, all of that. The proposal to increase the personal property tax exemption from $10,000 to $30,000 aims to provide more significant relief to small businesses and would potentially exempt about half of the city's businesses from these taxes. The petition also includes a provision that, should the increased tax shift be implemented, this will allow the city to expend up to $15 million to provide direct relief to small businesses impacted by the shift. The administration clarified that apart from the additional small business provisions, the new proposal would reduce the time frame over which the levy may be adjusted from 5 years to 3 years and lowered the maximum shift caps. Throughout this process, concerns about the city's spending and the need for fiscal responsibility were discussed. The administration highlighted the importance of cost control as they prepare for the upcoming budget season, indicating that they will work to ensure cost growth continues to align with revenue growth. Councilors questioned if, rather than submitting this home rule petition, the city could redirect funding from other programs towards stabilizing tax rates during this time. The administration testified that they have explored many options, but stated that there is no legal mechanism to use city resources or reserves to provide rebates or offset property taxes. The administration explained that the city would need to seek the authority to do so, and that doing so poses potential constitutional issues. Similarly, councilors asked if finding new revenue would change the dynamic of tax responsibility. The administration explained that diversifying revenue could potentially lower reliance on property taxes, but could also introduce risks, as other revenue sources are more tied to economic fluctuations. Nevertheless, the administration acknowledged the importance of finding a balanced solution that addresses the needs of both residents and businesses. This home rule petition is one such measure, I believe, that does that. As the chair of the Committee on Government Operations, I recommend moving this listed docket from the committee to the full council for discussion and formal action. And so at this time, my recommendation to the full council will be that this matter ought to pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zapata, and thank you for your diligence and your leadership in shepherding this through the council. It is very much appreciated, the hearings, the working session, so thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on this matter? The chair recognizes Councilor Flynn. Councilor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As an elected body, we have rushed this process to provide the residents of Boston with an update on the administration's latest proposal to raise the city's commercial tax rate beyond the state limit. I believe that no matter how tight deadlines are, we cannot simply adhere to the values of transparency only when it's convenient. Contrary to what you read in other councilors' newsletters, I also want to be clear about what my position has been. I wrote an op-ed several weeks ago. An 8% budget increase this year. We should have cut spending and implemented a hiring freeze, used our budget surplus and interest above $1 billion, and reviewed the critical issue of our dependence on the property tax. I have also held a hearing to explore other alternative ways to help with revenue, to try to avoid an increase in residential property taxes. Boston faces long-term fiscal issues. We have falling commercial property values due to remote work policies that studies show may cost us $500 million per year. Our budget is now over 70% reliant on property taxes, and 50% of our land is absorbed by large nonprofit partners in the pilot program, which are non-taxable entities that continue to expand. That is simply unsustainable formula. That is why last Wednesday I advocated for a Blue Ribbon Commission on the city's revenue, just as I advocated for a commission in March on the issue of vacant downtown offices and falling commercial values. It was supported unanimously by this body at the time. I now understand that the city is looking at forming a committee on this issue of revenue based on this recommendation I made. In times of great crisis, strong leadership can never be about pride of authorship. We can't let ideology cloud our judgment when it comes to what's best for the city of Boston. Leadership requires us to have difficult conversations, meet with our constituents, and be tolerant of each other's views. It requires us to be transparent with the public, and we can disagree without being disagreeable. In closing, it did not have to be this divisive, pitting residents against businesses or public disagreements with the state and business community. We should have listened to fiscal watchdog groups and experts to compromise months ago before waiting until the 11th hour. We could have done more to compromise by cutting spending and tightening our belts after an 8% city budget increase, maybe freezing hiring. Look at our surplus and address the long-term issues like our dependence on the property tax. Otherwise, we may be back here to do this all over again next year. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And just to the statement that this process was rushed, I want to again thank the very strong and positive leadership of Councilor Coletta Zapata in shepherding us through this process. Yesterday during the hearing, Marty Walls, from the interim president of the Boston Municipal Research Bureau, also made it very clear the length of time that this has not only been deliberated here on this body, but in public discourse. The number of hearings, the number of working sessions, the conversations, the phones that people choose to or not to pick up. So there have been ample conversations around this, and I just want to thank everyone who has leaned in and has helped us solve our problem here. The chair recognizes Councilor Santana. Councilor Santana, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I also want to thank the chair of the committee for your leadership and your thoughtfulness throughout this process. Today, I'm proud to support the proposal on property tax classification as an essential step towards balancing the needs of Boston residents and small businesses in a challenging economic climate. This proposal aims to alleviate the impact of rising property values on our residential taxpayers, with an anticipated 9% increase under this plan compared to the 14% spike residents would otherwise face. This reduction represents significant relief for our residents who are feeling the pressure of Boston's increasing cost of living. Equally important, this proposal addresses our commercial sector's needs, providing targeted relief to small businesses, the backbone of our community. By raising the personal property tax exemption and dedicating up to $15 million annually to small businesses relief, we're offering meaningful support for businesses with fewer than 50 employees and less than $5 million in revenue. This proposal is more than a fiscal adjustment. It reflects our commitment to sustaining an equitable city that supports both residents and small businesses. I am proud to vote in favor of this carefully crafted proposal, which ensures a fair distribution of Boston's tax burden while supporting those who contribute most to our vibrant community. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Bepen. Councilor Bepen, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Today I stand in support of the residential tax relief proposal. This proposal is particularly crucial for the communities I represent. That's Hyde Park, Mattapan, and Rosendale, where many families are already feeling the pressure of rising housing costs. In District 5, we are proud to have one of the highest percentage, if not the highest percentage, of Black and Latino home ownership in the entire city, and have numerous family-owned and minority-owned small businesses vital to our District 5 economy and cultural vitality. The proposed tax relief is a much-needed lifeline for residents in these small businesses, many of which are navigating challenging economic conditions. So why do I support this proposal? One, it protects residents from a 28% tax increase. Supporting small businesses, especially owned by families and minority communities, gradually shifting taxes and include financial support to protect these businesses from rising costs. Three, we continue to collaborate between city, business leaders, and community advocates. Four, we continue to have financial stability for the city. And five, we provide long-term planning. I urge my fellow city councilors and our state legislators, particularly want to give a shout out to State Representative Raul Consalvo, who has been a leader for this, who represents Hyde Park. For my colleagues who don't agree with how this year's budget went, why did you even vote in favor of it in the first place? Our residents cannot wait. This isn't about politics. It's about the people that call Boston home. Together, we can create a more equitable and affordable Boston, ensuring that our neighborhood continues to be places where families and small businesses can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Fitzgerald. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Yesterday, we had a hearing on this matter where I cast some concern over which way to vote on this. It's so important to stress that the 28% increase that residents are worried about seeing this year is still coming, just spread out over 3 years. So the fears folks have still loom, and we allow it to loom while potentially doing irreparable harm to our business community. Now, ultimately, this is a vote for the labor community, for our elderly, for our families, and really it's for the folks who have made the active decision to commit to and invest in this city. And for many, that is a long-term, multi-generational commitment vital to the soul of this city. While I'm fairly certain this petition will pass today, I think after this vote, let's not act like we've cleared a major hurdle, because there are certainly still hurdles in the future. As we said, this 28% is still going to take effect over 3 years. And so we need to begin preparing for that right now. As we try to mitigate the harm to our local businesses, we also have a substantial number of residents who struggle to afford the property tax increases they've been experiencing in the past 5 years, and even with today's current compromise, will still struggle with over the next 3 years. While I will vote in favor of this home rule petition today, I commit to looking at how we can make it more affordable for people to stay in their homes, whether that's increasing their residential exemption, the elderly exemption, veteran exemption, and looking at cutting spending, yes, as much as it may or may not correlate to what the tax appropriation is, we do have to look at what cutting we have to do in the future as we think about how much money is coming in. I filed a hearing a while ago that I'm now scheduling with Councilor Worrell's office that talks about the different ways to diversify our tax revenue, and I look forward to that hearing as being the first step in trying to address this multi-year issue that we have in front of us to keep families here. And so I'll end with that and look forward to the vote. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Durkin. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Council President, and thank you so much to the chair, Councilor Coletta Zapata, for all of her work to get us to this point. I rise today in support of the administration's proposal for tax classification for a shift. I supported the initial proposal strongly in this body. And I know that the goals here are to protect Boston residents from a looming and significant spike in their property tax bills, while also maintaining our nation's leading investment in public services that make Boston the safest, most skilled, and best educated of the major cities in our country. This modest temporary measure is crucial in stabilizing residential taxes during a time when our commercial real estate sector is experiencing a transformative shift. I just read in the BBJ yesterday, it dropped during the hearing that 11 buildings were going to drop $450 million in their valuations. This administration's proposal is pragmatic, balanced, and it's a compromise that reflects the interest of our city in totality. Mayor Wu seems to have cut the Gordian knot with the support of labor, the business community. I see people from Mass Senior Action Council here, and many residents I've heard from. It shortens the duration of the tax shift to 3 years and reduces the ceiling of commercial residential tax ratio, also while setting aside $45 million in relief for small businesses, who are a vital part of our local economy. This step reflects a careful and balanced approach and shared responsibility. Moreover, the administration has outlined the alternative proposals, such as cutting critical city services, draining reserves, would have destabilizing effects and layoffs of City of Boston residents. And it's not lost on me that the reason why we have a residential, the reason why we want City of Boston residents to live in the City of Boston is because they're what makes our community special. And the idea that we would be making it harder for City of Boston residents to live here and we would potentially be laying off City of Boston residents, it seems counter to everything that we're trying to do in the city. I cannot support measures that would work to weaken the very fabric of our community by cutting essential services that we rely on daily. Boston residents are already grappling with the high cost of living, and without action, the average residential tax bill could increase by 28% in the upcoming quarter alone, and that's just an average, placing an immense financial strain on families across our city. This tax shift provides the stability we need to protect residents during this time of economic transition. With housing affordability as a central challenge in our city, it is our responsibility to find solutions that prioritize residents while ensuring the long-term fiscal health of Boston. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting this proposal. It's thoughtful and a responsible way to protect our residents while ensuring that Boston remains strong in every dimension for years to come. And Boston, compared to peer cities, also relies disproportionately to an extreme degree on property taxes to generate revenue that underpin our public services. Multiple administrations, including this one, have advocated for new municipal revenue sources that would ease this burden, and I share this goal. I have some ideas, and I hope to provide those in the next year, but I think we're all working together to weather this storm, and this is one step in a good direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Durkin. Mr. Clerk, would you please amend the record to reflect that Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson is now present and with us? The chair recognizes Councilor Weber. Councilor Weber, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I think, in the weeks leading up to this vote, my office received dozens of phone calls and emails of people in my district who are concerned about this proposal, and part of that was because they, based on what they were reading and what they had heard, they thought this was that we were rushing through a tax increase for residents, when in fact I think the opposite is true. First, as we heard from Marty Walls yesterday, this process was not rushed. It's been about 8 or 9 months. There have been, we've had 3 hearings and a working session in this body. There's been a public hearing in the State House. It's been a part of a public conversation for months. So I don't think we've rushed this. Second of all, this is not a tax increase. We are trying to prevent residents' taxes from going up by 28% in January. Third, I don't see this as hurting commercial businesses. What we heard at the hearing yesterday was commercial buildings whose value is going down will most likely see a decrease in their taxes, even if this proposal goes through. And lastly, for our commercial buildings and spaces and businesses, we don't know what their values are going to be 2-3 years from now, but we do know that we will be hurting commercial businesses if we have a tax policy that requires people on fixed incomes to leave the city, and also requires us to cut important services like police, firefighter, everything else that we provide in the city. And so that's why I support this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Orell. Councilor Orell, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you to the chair, Councilor Coletta Zapata, for shepherding this process. I also want to thank all the parties who have worked hard to get us here. There are 2 objectives that this compromise will achieve. The first is that the average homeowner will see their bill rise about 9%, not out of line with increases of the past few years. The second is that many commercial property owners will see their overall tax bill decrease. When it comes to revenues, as the chair of Ways and Means, the city revenues are strong. The city uses the standard formula for taxes, and it's the same formula the city has used since Prop 2.5 was introduced in 1980. Every mayor from 1980 on has increased the tax levy 2.5% each year. Mayor White, 2.5% every year. Mayor Flynn, 2.5% every year. Mayor Menino, 2.5% every year. Mayor Walsh, 2.5% every year. And that's what we're doing again this year. The most important discussion for the city's fiscal future, I believe, is a hefty one, but it's a basic one. Will we ever, and should we ever, forego the full 2.5% levy hike? If we are always going to take the full 2.5% levy hike, like nearly every other municipality does, then I'm wary of adding further revenues. The excise taxes that our city collects hit many of our residents hard. Our cars, our dinners out, our flights, and our visitors who stay in hotels. And even those excise taxes, which account for 6% of the budget, aren't enough at scale to realistically forego the full 2.5% levy hike. As for pilot, I do believe our nonprofit institutions should contribute more. However, it's a voluntary payment as opposed to a tax. Additionally, while we talk about the city's heavy reliance on property taxes, I'd like to point out in fiscal year 2002, the city received 82% of its revenue from state aid and property taxes. In fiscal year 2025, the city received 82% of its revenue from state aid and property taxes. That's the same percentage 23 years later. It's just that the city used to receive a lot more state aid. So I think that's where some of our advocacy should be pushed on receiving more state aid. For those of you who attended the more than 100 hours of budget hearings we held, or the 6 working sessions, or a dozen public testimony, none of these revenue conversations are a surprise, and none of them are rushed. Matter of fact, this body has filed numerous hearing orders on revenue and declining commercial values. I also want to point out that during the budget process, councilors had the opportunity to either vote for or put up amendments to reallocate funds in the budget. I'm proud to be casting my vote in favor of this responsible compromise on taxes. It's a short-term solution, and I believe as a body we need to continue the conversation on long-term solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Arell, and thank you again for your leadership throughout the Ways and Means process and through really shining a light on a lot of the issues that you raised that are related to the matter before us. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandes Anderson. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. The City of Boston successfully weathered through the worst years of the pandemic and came out of the other, and with strong fiscal standing. However, we know that the true financial impacts of the pandemic are only now starting to take effect. We need to think critically about the next 5 to 10 years and how we can ensure that residents in the City of Boston can continue to rely on us to provide the city services they deserve and have come to expect. The administration has advocated for best way, or at least here as we see it, as some of us have been calling it, a compromise. To maintain this level of service will ultimately involve shifting tax burden away from homeowners, many of whom are elderly and cash poor, and towards other groups. This new home rule petition, and I'm sure many of you have already expressed, I do apologize if this is redundant, this home rule petition expands the amount of personal tax exemptions from $10,000 to $30,000. This means that small businesses all throughout my district, like barbershops and hair salons, can expect more of their personal property, avoiding some of the concerns I had brought up in the hearing in the original home rule petition. Since none of us have a crystal ball and we can't predict that what the next 5 to 10 years will bring, we can safely say that residential property tax values will continue to rise over the next few years and commercial property values will continue to fall. Of course, this is a bit concerning for me because when the home rule petition lapsed, then some of my questions were whether or not homeowners could see a spike in their property tax, and we'll be right back in the chamber demanding for something, or at least for us to do something about it. In addition, Section 3 of the Home Rule Petition states that the city can provide grants and programming for small businesses impacting the reclassification. And then I think there needs to be further work on our part to support small business department with infrastructure that will continue to support with these grants for specifically small businesses. And we've heard from the chief of OEOI that that infrastructure could be worked out through a nonprofit, so I feel reassured. As Councilor Mejia discovered during her work, on commercial vacancies, the city of Boston doesn't even have, or at least have a way to count how many small businesses, or at least we have not invested in the tools or study to do so. In my district, what I did is then took a full inventory of all of the businesses and then actually did a more grassroots approach of actually then organizing it or aggregating this data by businesses that needed signs, businesses that needed branding, businesses that needed itemization or other technical assistances, so that we can connect with small business and figure that out. So I think it all can be done. The administration, again, has been, advocating that placing this burden on commercial property owners will work again as it did in 2004. But it was a bit different, in my opinion, with Boston's history compared to 2024. The seaport is starting to grow, and the Big Dig was wrapping up. In 2024, we have new neighborhoods to build up from nothing. And there are a few major infrastructure projects that will unlock as many commercial opportunities as the Big Dig did. So basically, having been in a more advantageous situation where the Big Dig ended, a lot of opportunities, a lot of projects or commercial properties construction went up. It presented, I think, a cushion for our economy back then, making it different from today. So I do feel obliged to point out that our colleague, Councilor Coletta Zapata, filed an ordinance to adopt a small commercial tax exemption as a local option in the city of Boston. I think her ordinance is terrific and addresses a lot of the issues that community stakeholders and policy and analysis have identified. One last thing that I'll point out is that here in the city, we don't actually do we don't hold a forum where we're doing a full analysis of our budget in order for us to project what we should be looking toward in terms of our economy. And so the state does, right? And then they go and they duke it out and they figure out what the budget should be or where the money should go. But the city doesn't. And I think that Councilor Worrell has pointed out several times that we should be able to do further audits, if not build out metrics to actually analyze BPS's budget. So I look forward to those conversations. With all that being said, taking into account that in a state of things, I will be voting in support of this, and I would love to work with Councilor Coletta Zapata to be able to look at options of maybe further amending this thing so that we can include her ordinance in it as well. For today, my vote is a yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you for bringing your past experience at Ways and Means Chair into the conversation. The Chair recognizes Councilor Braden. Councilor Braden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I'd like to thank Councillor Coletta Zapata for her leadership and guiding this process over the last 9 months. It hasn't been easy. We've gotten a lot of scrutiny from the press and from outside. As we mentioned, we've worked on this issue for the past 9 months, and it certainly isn't for want of attention. There's no quick fix to increasing our revenue. Cutting spending and implementing a hiring freeze is not necessarily a solution at this time when we have thousands, I think we have hundreds, I don't know the exact number, but we have hundreds of vacant positions. We did scrutinise all these issues during our budget process when we were offering amendments, and there was no real appetite for cutting positions in any department across the city because that would have a direct impact on city services. The issue about the 8% increase in the city budget was driven in many ways by the transition of the BPDA into the city to become the planning department. That increased our costs and added to our budget. And also, as the chair of Pilot and Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, we will continue to work with the administration, institutions and community advocates to find an agreement on a way to increase pilot contributions, both cash and community benefits. The pilot programme, as you all know, is a voluntary programme, so we can't just insist that our institutions in the city pay a certain figure, but we do encourage our institutions to continue to demonstrate support for our shared values to build a strong and equitable city for all. And at the end of this process that has been so arduous over the last 9 months, I do want to extend our sincere appreciation to leaders and partners in the legislature from across the Commonwealth for their prudent attention to the unique needs and challenges of the City of Boston. Senate President Karen Spilka, House Speaker Ron Mariano, Chair Aaron Michalowicz and Chair Michael Rodriguez, and members of the House Senate Committees on Ways and Means, members of the Joint Committee on Revenue, and the bill sponsor and Boston delegation member, Representative Rob Consalvo, a former member of this body. I will be voting in support of this today, and I want to thank all of our colleagues for all their diligence in this very important matter.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Mejia. Councilor Mejia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to my colleagues who have already spoken. Really do appreciate hearing all that you had to share. In true fashion and form as I am, I'd like to use my time to translate and just help people understand what is at play here. So first, let me just start off with, the more we navigate this space, the more I realize that we have to be really super mindful and careful about character assassinations or interpretations of what happens. This whole narrative of us versus them isn't getting us to where we need to be. When I hear words like positive leadership, it has a negative connotation that because you show up differently or you are a little bit more aggressive or you think differently, all of a sudden it's not positive. And I think that we have to get into the habit of just embracing people and how they show up in ways that embraces difference of opinions and different styles, right? I just don't think that characterizing people's behavior as positive or negative really isn't helpful, especially to this body, particularly having gone through redistricting and all the drama and trauma that caused. It doesn't help us to point fingers or to talk about processes that were not done fairly or all of that, because nobody wins in that framework. And I'm speaking that and owning that on my own, because I know sometimes I get up in here and I be out here throwing daggers too, but I'm just trying to show up in a way that is also accountable to how I show up. And so I've been working really hard in this chamber to bring in a different sense of energy and emotional intelligence so that I'm not triggered by the things that I hear in this chamber from either sides of the aisle. And so I just want to continue to remind ourselves that our job is to be the checks and balances to the administration. Our job is to make sure that we are listening to all sides, whether we want to hear from them or not. But at the end of the day, we represent the entire city as a whole. And as a body of 13, whether you represent my district or not, the votes that you take impact the constituents that I serve. And so I just think that we're going to either need to have a retreat or some sort of saging up in here, because I don't want a repeat of what I went through during redistricting. I reject that. I do not want that. And I want us all to put our big girl and boy pants on and do our jobs without being petty, number one. Number two, I have a real issue with fear tactics that drive anxiety for our residents, particularly our seniors who are already on fixed incomes. Holding this process up any further creates more trauma for those who are already worried about their livelihood. And I think that we cannot play politics when it comes to the people that we serve on both sides of the aisle. And utilizing our people as political pawns is not a good look for anyone. So I think it's really important for us to recognize that our seniors, and particularly those who purchased their homes in the 70s and the 80s when the white flight occurred and people were fleeing the city, our elders who are now here today on fixed income stayed here in the city of Boston, and we need to keep them here in the city of Boston by any means necessary, including taking votes that will help them do just that. Now, My struggle is, and has always been, is that I'm all about the process. And while I do appreciate the timelines that I've heard, I also know that we've filed hearing orders that have not happened to talk about these issues. And it feels like, to me, we're gonna have to think differently about how we pass legislation here, because putting us against the wall and not giving us an opportunity to really unpack things thoroughly, it just feels a bit abrupt. And I think that we can all learn something from that. And then lastly, and what I've been saying since I entered this chamber, is that when it comes to the pilot program, we continue to give Harvard, BU, Northeastern, all of these institutions a pass. And the reason we give them a pass because we're calling it voluntary. At some point, the city's going to have to say, you're going to have to pay if you want to do business in the city of Boston, because you can't keep putting that burden on our residents and our small businesses. So we are well positioned to utilize whatever little political courage we have in this chamber to hold those institutions accountable. And until we do that, we're just going to keep kicking the can down the street, because it's the easiest thing to do. And what we've done today in choosing this path forward is the path, towards least resistance. And that is, doing this in this manner was really strategic. And I understand meeting the moment, but I also know that the real work, if we can do this right, will be what we're going to do next year. And I think next year, this whole situation needs to look differently, because otherwise, we're going to keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. We're going to be talking about the budget. We're going to be fighting for the things that we want, only to then just sit down and rubber stamp another vote. And we can't keep doing that. So if we're going to do our jobs, then we're going to have to make difficult decisions next year. And those decisions need to be made by this body. This body approves the budget, right? And if this body approves the budget, then we should work on making sure that the budget that we do approve reflects the things that the people who brought us in here want us to fight for. It's an election year next year, so I'm sure everything's going to look very different. I'm sure no one's going to want to, cause ruckus, and I'm sure everyone who got a pass this time around, y'all going to have it a little bit easier next time around, because I know how politics works. I've been here 4 years. I've learned a lot. And I'll end with this. In 2020, I got this notebook. It says, "Break Tradition." I walked into this chamber, and somebody reminded me yesterday, where's Caroline? Somebody reminded me yesterday, because I said, I walked into this chamber by myself, because nobody wanted me here except the people. But she reminded me that I didn't walk in here by myself. The people put me in this seat. And for that, I'm grateful, Catherine. Because it's the people that we're here to fight for, not our seats. And so with that, I think that we need to really think about how we're going to seize this moment to do business differently and break tradition, because we can't keep functioning as a body in this manner. We can't. And if I'm the one who's gonna get up and keep saying it, I'm gonna keep saying it. And if people don't wanna hear it, you can put your little earplugs on, because you know what? I get paid to utilize my mouth, to speak my truth and bring truth to power into this chamber. And I'm not gonna apologize for that to anyone. So with that, I look forward to putting this to rest and doing the people's work. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Coletta Zapata. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and I appreciate all of my colleagues utilizing their voice that they were elected to do, being the microphone, not the voice. And so I appreciate everybody's feedback. Just a quick note, and then I really want to move to a vote because it has been 7 months. I just want to say a little bit about the process, because that has been brought up. I think that we have done our due diligence. Facts matter, and facts show that it has been 7 months talking about this proposal and variations of it. It's been widely publicized. There's been 44 plus news media publications about it. Additionally, I think it's important for the public to understand and not be misled. It's important to understand that there are more processes coming. There are 3 dockets that are coming before this body in the next couple of months. The first one already came before us last year, and many of us voted in favor of it, which is setting the tax rate as we do every year. It's also setting the personal property tax exemption at $30,000, and then the appropriation order for the small business fund. Moreover, I think, some of the conversations, because I didn't get a chance to talk about it in my committee report, these long-term conversations are necessary as it relates to pilot. We already are leaders on this issue, and I expect a lot of this leadership to continue through this body, working in partnership with Mayor Wu. Long-term conversations about spending, budgets, revenues, those are all things that will continue to happen even after this vote today, and I welcome those conversations. I do. And then I think my last point, I think I'll just simply say that this is the process. This is democracy. This is what we have all been elected to do. As chair for any committee, I'm responsible for discussing and considering the merits of a particular document, of a particular docket, which is what I'm doing right now. Yesterday, during the hearing, I was hearing overwhelming support from colleagues and the public. And then any objections for this particular proposal would have been entertained. But the objections were not on the merits of this proposal. It was about any perceived bureaucratic or political slights. And so for me as chair, I am obligated to review the merits of any proposal. And because of that, I felt like we had a fair proposal. And the bottom line is, and I said it yesterday, if we do nothing right now, we help no one. Our job, our responsibility, and our obligation is to legislate and to provide solutions to help residents of Boston. So now, I'm doing my job and simply providing the opportunity for my colleagues to represent their districts, represent their various constituencies, and vote. So let's vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Coletta Zapata. Is anyone else looking to speak on this matter? I'll just say briefly, just want to sum up again that there's been a lot of work done here to get to where we are. This compromise is one that brings together NIAP, the Boston Chamber of Commerce, Mass Senior Action Council, everybody working on the same team, because we as a city, we are on the same team. It's all about how do we make sure get the balance right. And I think Councilor Worrell said it, others said it, short-term solution as we navigate and figure out how we do the long-term work. So I just want to thank all of my colleagues for really leaning in again. Again, I want to thank the chair for your leadership throughout this process. There are a number of conversations that we are going to continue to have in Ways and Means and in other committees about how we steward the city. That is our job. That is the job of each committee chair. It is the job of each councilor to express your opinion, to disagree, and for us to figure out how we work on the same team to move the city forward. I want to acknowledge that there are some longer-term issues that we're going to be dealing with, and we do that through the budget, and we do that through our hearing orders, and I look forward to those continued conversations. So if no one else would like to speak on this matter, I'd like us to move to a vote. The chair would like us to move to a vote. The chair of the Committee on Government Operations seeks acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket number 1612. Mr. Clerk, will you please conduct a roll call vote?
Roll call vote on docket number 1612. Councilor Braden.
Yes.
Councilor Braden, yes. Councilor Coletta Zapata. Yes. Councilor Coletta Zapata, yes. Councilor Durkin. Yes. Councilor Durkin, yes. Councilor Fernandez Anderson. Yes. Councilor Fernandez Anderson, yes. Councilor Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Councilor Fitzgerald, yes. Councilor Flynn.
No.
Councilor Flynn, no. Councilor Louisiane.
Yes.
Councilor Louisiane, yes. Councilor Mejia.
Yes.
Councilor Mejia, yes. Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Murphy, yes. Councilor Pepin.
Yes.
Councilor Pepin, yes. Councilor Santana.
Yes.
Councilor Santana, yes. Councilor Weber.
Yes.
Councilor Weber, yes. And Councilor Worrell.
Yes.
Councilor Worrell, yes. Docket number 1612 has received 12 votes in the affirmative and 1 in the negative.
Thank you. The committee report has been accepted and docket number 1612 has passed. Thank you again to the chair, and we look forward to the additional dockets on this topic. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1301?
Docket number 1301, order for a hearing to discuss BCYF services in the Alston-Bright neighborhood of the city of Boston.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Murphy, the chair of the Committee on Strong Women, Communities, and Families. You have the floor.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Ethan, Candace, and Megan, who were stacking chairs at 10:30 last night at the in Brighton at the Jackson Man Community Center for all of your work in helping us get through a wonderful off-site hearing last night. I also want to thank the Alston Brighton community who showed up in force, standing room only, to advocate for a much-needed new community center, and to my colleagues who showed up not only to support the community center that I think all of us agree is needed in this neighborhood, but I believe we also showed up, I know I did, to support Councilor Liz Braden, who has been advocating since 2019, probably before she even ran for council. And I just want to highlight I think there were about over 70 community members who spoke. All spoke so eloquently, and so many spoke what I know all of us believe. We all have a community center story. I know I have one. Anyone who grew up here in the city has a community center, has a coach, has some program that BCYF in lots of ways felt that it saved their life, or it helped their sister, or it helped their mom. And just hearing those stories, I believe, is just the beginning of the conversation. We know that the political will is here on the council. I know that as the chair of Strong Women, Families and Community, but also as an at-large city councilor and someone who truly believes in community centers. And do just want to highlight one of the things I thought of driving home was what Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson said. At one point, she stepped off the stage and cut through a back room, and it's something I noticed also. This building, which was the Jackson Man, the Horseman School, which is not a school now, has lots of empty rooms, but just stacks of music instruments and paint, and it's just such an empty, kind of sad building now. They're trying to use it as a swing space. We know that we need to do better, and we can't wait any longer. I do want to thank your staff also for all they did to help you, and I know the community showed up knowing that you're there to support them, and also the other elected officials in Alston Brighton. I want to thank the state reps and Senator Brownsberger, Kevin Honan, and Mike Moran's office, who were there to stand behind us, knowing that this is a city building. We need the city funds. We need the commitment here on the capital budget. I know when you wanted, I did vote against the capital budget. I think more of us now know that our vote can make them and push them to make the decisions we need them to do. So this docket will stay in committee, but I will pass it off to Councilor Braden to speak. So thank you.
Councilor Braden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And I think last night was a remarkable night in our community. I think the best estimate of attendees and residents who were able to attend was 230 residents with standing room only. There was 30 people who were standing out in the hallway who couldn't get into the room. And we had dozens of other letters of support from folks who weren't able to attend. I think it was very apparent last night just how important the Jackson Man Community Centre is. We only have one, and people get tired of me saying that. We only have one. Alston Brighton is the second largest neighbourhood in the city, a very diverse neighbourhood, as was demonstrated last night. We had people from all walks of life, all ethnic backgrounds, and all ages there. We had little kids, and we had a wonderful representation from youth organisations, and a lovely, wonderful group of young people from the Brazilian Workers' Centre who came to be there. And it was just very moving. I think everybody was even though people were frustrated and angry, it was respectful, it was heartfelt. And I hope that the administration heard loud and clear that Alston Brighton needs a new community centre to replace the building that has been deemed unusable and needs to be replaced. A standalone BCYF community centre for Alston Brighton community is vitally needed, and I hope that we can expedite this process. One fact that came out in the conversation last night, looking at the timelines, was, there's been this sort of hiatus in the capital planning process and the capital development process right now. We have this space of 2 years where nothing's happening, and there was no money allocated to keep the process moving this financial year. And the next time they're going to look at, the next time there's a number on the list is 2026 to 2029, that 5-year period, you know, we can't just keep kicking this can down the road. This is an urgent situation for Allston Brighton. I do want to thank my staff. Everyone turned out last night. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of work to reach out to our extended community and engage with people who are maybe not necessarily engaged with civic city business to get them there. I also want to thank very sincerely all my colleagues, Council President Roussi, Councillor Pepin, Councillor Santana, Councillor Mejia, Councillor Fernandez-Anderson, and Councillor Flynn for attending in person, and also all of those folks, other staff other colleagues who sent letters of apology, but also voicing their support for our community in Allston Brighton. So thank you. This fight is not over, but I will pledge to continue to work on this very important issue for our neighbourhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Braden. The chair recognizes Councillor Santana. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President.
Oh, sorry. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to the chair for hosting such an incredible hearing. And thank you to Councillor Braden for sponsoring this important hearing order, as well to Central staff for your work to enable the hearing to be held in the community. Last night, I had the opportunity to attend the hearing in Allston Brighton alongside District 9 Councillor Braden and several of our colleagues. It was clear from the many voices in the room that we're failing short of meeting the needs of our District 9 residents in Allston Brighton, particularly when it comes to youth services and community programming. As someone who deeply committed to youth empowerment across Boston, I find it unacceptable that Allston Brighton still lacks a dedicated BCYF center, especially in a city that prides itself on investing in its future. Residents deserve equitable access to the same quality of programming and safe spaces that our neighborhoods enjoy, and they deserve a clear commitment from the city with timelines and funding benchmarks to make a new community center in Union Square a reality. The petition circulating in Allston Brighton highlights the urgency felt by the community, and I stand in full support of these efforts. Our youth should not have to wait longer for spaces and resources they deserve. This is a call to action for all of us to prioritize this center and the FY26 capital budget, ensuring we build a future where every Boston neighborhood has equal access to opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Mejia. Councilor Mejia, you have the floor.
This little light of mine. Thank you, President. And I just want to say thank you to Councillor Breeden. I, as a community organizer first, was incredibly in awe by the turnout. What your staff was able to do, and also the residents of District 9 really came out in droves to send a strong message back here that they want their center now, and that they were not going to wait any further. Enough is what I heard. And I think we here on the council have an amazing opportunity to really rally around you now, so that we can start making sure that that center gets into production. And I think that I'm committed to utilize my platform to work alongside you to do just that. And I think it's going to take, again, I feel very hopeful, considering all the things that are at play right now, that you're going to have your community center and Allston and Brighton is going to feel affirmed. And I want to give a shout out to your team, who was incredibly helpful, and not just packing up the place, but also helping some of us understand all of the things that were at play too. So I just want to say thank you, because your team is a thought partner with our office, and we have grown to have a really good relationship. And you and I are the last ones standing from our class. And I am incredibly grateful that you are my colleague, and I want to continue to support you on this journey. And I think as Councillor Coletta Zapata and I, and alongside Councillor Louis Jean, last term we worked alongside residents in Charlestown to handle the situation with the Chloride pool. And so those residents organized and were the ones that were really leading the charge. And so I'm really excited about the energy that I saw last night. And I don't have I saw something behind the closed door story, but I do have another story that I think is worth bringing into the space, is that I went to use the restroom, and there were 2 stalls, one of which was a baby bathroom and a grown-up bathroom. And I was really taken back by the fact that there were only 2 bathrooms on the first floor for everyone to use. I thought that was awkward. I don't know if you've ever seen a little toilet. It's a little, yeah, it's, I think somebody from your team should take a photo of it and post it so that they can see what I was talking about. It's a baby bathroom. But I want to just also note that yesterday, and this is why I think it's so important for us to recognize how important it is to support our colleagues. You know, I often talk about the fact that I'm a single mom. Annalise, I had to get her home in an Uber, and I had to coordinate making sure she did her homework and took a shower while I was out there doing my job. So I just want you to know that even Annalise was rooting for you, Councilor Breeden, and we're doing this for the kids. So thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Breeden. Councilor Breeden, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I really do want to stand and make an extraordinary thank you to our central staff. We had a very busy day yesterday. We had a long hearing in the morning, and Ethan, Candice and Megan packed up and relocated to Alston Brighton and set up a hall with chairs and microphones and all of it in short order, and never a complaint, never a crossword, never a frown. They were just so there to be of service and to do a great job, and it's great testament to the professionalism of our wonderful central staff that they came out to the district and did such an amazing job last night. And it's very easy for us to just, they function so effectively and are so professional that sometimes it all just sort of fades into the background. But I want to give a big shout out to all of our central staff for the amazing job they did last night, and all the other folks in the central staff who do an amazing job every day.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Breeden, and really good job, central staff. I would clap for you, but I can't. But central staff did an amazing job, and it's a credit to how committed they are to public access and making sure that everything went smoothly for us. So thank you to central staff. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez Anderson. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to quickly say, Councilor Breeden, congratulations on job well done on advocating for your district, and of course, thank you to central staff, but also to the chair of, Councilor Murphy, for your executed patients yesterday. It took a lot, and we were there almost till 11 o'clock. We all pitched in and cleaned up together, but Ethan, shout out to you, standing those full, 4 or 5 hours the entire time, standing up behind that camera. Yesterday we saw what it looks like when you have a counselor that advocates for her district and organizes on a grassroots level to turn out the community to advocate for a thing. And I just wanted to quickly say I continue to be in support, and hopefully looking forward to a resolution that we can all vote for to support you, to encourage the administration to include that construction cost or in the capital plan beyond design, so that we can take it to the next level. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of the new friends that I met at Also Brighton constituents for showing up, but also to advocating and being so kind.
Thank you. And I also just want to thank central staff, and a number of my colleagues thank your staff, but literally the video that you stitched together of your advocacy since 2021 of clips of you speaking on this issue, whoever on your team did that, that was really incredible. That was Wayne, that I can't clap again, but that was an incredible video. And now you have another receipt to add to that. I think District 9 has a zealous advocate, and that was on display yesterday. And so I want to thank all the community members who came out, your staff, and you, right? That's the steady beat to get change. And so thank you, Councilor Breeden. This docket number 1301 will remain in committee. We are now on to motions, orders, and resolutions. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1627?
Docket number 1627, Councilor Mejia offered the following. Order for a hearing to address critical issues in jail-based voting and empower incarcerated communities to strengthen democracy.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Mejia. Councilor Mejia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Before I begin, I would like to add Councilor Louis Jean as an original co-sponsor to this hearing order.
Thank you. I'm so added. Councilor Mejia, you have the floor.
Today I rise to file this hearing order because we know that democracy isn't just about who shows up at the ballot box. It's also about ensuring that every eligible voter has the opportunity to participate in shaping their community. Right now, there are more than 600 eligible voters residing in Nashua Street Jail and the Suffolk County House of Corrections, facing significant barriers to casting their ballots. Many of these individuals are either awaiting trial or serving time for misdemeanors, meaning that they still have their legal right to vote. Yet, they encounter a system that too often leaves them behind. Outdated technology, lack of voter education, and limited access to election materials stand in the way of exercising their fundamental right. Our incarcerated loved ones, despite their circumstances, are still members of our community. They deserve access to the city, to the same civil rights as anyone else. As a city, we have the opportunity to lead by example, showing not just Boston, but the entire country that we can expand voting access and strengthen democracy. Across the United States, there are roughly 450,000 people in local jails who have been convicted of a crime and still retain their right to vote. Our efforts here can send a message to other cities that incarcerated individuals should not be left out of the democratic process. I want to extend my deep gratitude to empowering dissent communities to unlock democracy for raising awareness on this issue. Too often, incarcerated people feel forgotten, but yet they still have rights that we are obligated to protect and ensure are accessible. The 2022 Votes Act mandates that we identify eligible incarcerated voters and ensure that they can vote. Yet our systems are not meeting that standard. Whether it's lack of technology, inadequate resources for translation services, or restricted access to the internet that prevents incarcerated loved ones from receiving election information, the barriers are real and unacceptable. Today, we're calling for a cross-institutional collaboration. This issue requires election officials, jails, advocates, and the incarcerated individuals themselves to work together. And yes, if it means that this special legislation is needed to create a more inclusive voting process, then let's just pursue it. And I also just want to give a shout out to State Rep then, Nika Alaguado, who many years ago worked alongside our office in championing this issue alongside Pastor Hobbs and a coalition of folks who have been sounding the alarm for the last 4 years around this particular issue. So I'm just really excited to continue doing that work. One of the things that we were able to do the last go-round was we advocated for having ballot boxes right in the jails. So every time we work on something, we edge a little bit closer, but there's still so much more work to do. So I'm looking forward to working alongside my colleagues to do just that.
Thank you, and thank you, Councilor Mejia, for filing this. You mentioned the advocates want to uplift them, empowering descendant communities to unlock democracy project, African American Coalition Committee, the incarcerated community organizing at MCI Norfolk that I've had the pleasure of visiting, Harvard and the Legacy of Slavery Initiative, Democracy Behind Bars Coalition, Healing Our Land Incorporated, and Pastor Hobbs, the Sentencing Project, and Lawyers for Civil Rights. As Councilman Mejia stated, jail-based voting is crucial to advancing democratic access and ensuring that all eligible citizens, including incarcerated individuals awaiting trial, can exercise their right to vote. Here in Massachusetts, the only people who cannot vote are those who are incarcerated for a felony. The minute that their sentence is done, they are able to vote. And people sometimes in jail believe that they can't vote. And so this is about making sure we're uplifting the fact that they are able to, especially right before the election. This hearing offers an opportunity to highlight significant obstacles, such as the lack of basic technology to determine voter eligibility, inadequate access to voting information due to restricted resources within jail facilities, and more. We must commit ourselves to an inclusive democracy and one that supports communities disproportionately affected by these systemic challenges, especially our Black and Brown residents, LGBTQ+ individuals, and those with mental health needs. Strengthening jail-based voting processes not only upholds voter rights, but also empowers incarcerated individuals, promoting civic engagement and fostering equitable representation in our electoral system. On Friday, I had a conversation with someone who had spent some time in jail who told me that, how hard it was for him, but he still did it, went around the jail to make sure that people were registered to vote and knew that they could vote in this election. And so it's incredibly important we have people behind the wall who are already doing this work. And so this is about empowering the people who are already doing the work, who are in jail cells trying to promote democracy. And it's important that we use our tools here as a legislative body to help them do just that. Thank you. Councilor Mejia, is that your light on again? The chair recognizes Councilor Mejia. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I neglected to suspend the rules and add Councillor Anderson as an original co-sponsor.
Councilor Mejia seeks to suspend the rules and add Councilor Fernandez Anderson as the third original co-sponsor. Seeing and hearing no objections, Councilor Fernandez Anderson is so added. Councilor Fernandez Anderson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Councilor Mejia. Looking forward to working with you on this hearing order. Our carceral system is just not set up for reform, and as we see with research, most of what exists currently in our prison systems is punitive, but not. I mean, it's meant to be. It's prison, but it's not meant to reform. So, research has shown that when you do involve people in research-based types of programming, like Seeing Family, like being an active member of society, that it leads to more healing and reform. I want to caution us in terms of this conversation. Too often, people in prison are exploited, especially by politicians that stand up or claim in the state level, city level, all levels, that claim to be supporting family members or folks in the prison system, and yet they show up just to exploit so that they can advance their own political resumes. And so when we talk about people in prison, know that the advocates couldn't have done this work without people like my husband to be able to actually lead on cases, to be able to actually lead on initiatives such as this, to be able to write grants and do research just to bring the advocates to the front to have this conversation. So it's not just about the advocates out here doing the work. It's about the many black and brown men and women in the system, within the confinements of the wall, doing the work and advocating and calling on to the advocates, and then the politicians step in. And so we have to just make sure that we tread carefully when we talk about people, that we reduce them to just, we're doing a thing for them. No, there are the leaders on this. It's not the politicians and it's not the advocates. It's the people behind the walls doing this and suffering. So I thank you so much for filing. I look forward to this conversation. Obviously, it's a personal one for me, and I thank you for adding me.
Thank you. Docket number 1627 will be referred to the Committee on Civil Rights and would anyone else like to speak on this matter? Would anyone else like to add their name? Mr. Clerk, please add Councilors Braden, Durkin, Fitzgerald, Murphy, Pepin, Santana, Weber, Worrell. Docket number 1627 will be referred to the Committee on Civil Rights and Immigrant Advancement. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1628?
Docket number 1628, Councilors Murphy and Flynn offer the following. Order for a hearing to address the final repairs needed for the pool at the Condon Community Center and school to reopen.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Murphy. Councilor Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you. I got a call last week from a few different people who were concerned.
Oh, apologies. Apologies, your mic is now on.
That their children weren't able to have their fall programming and swimming lessons. And when I dug a little deeper, I found out some information, and is why I filed this hearing order to address the final repairs needed for the pool at the Condon Community Center. As many of you know, every year I've been filing hearing orders to address that our BCYF pools are running and that they're staffed. Two of the reasons why many of our pools, sometimes more than half during summer months, are not functional. Sometimes it's the maintenance that's been needed. We've had many hearings on that. Sometimes it's been the staffing. We're doing a better job with our lifeguard staffing, but in this case, over the last couple years, the Condon pool has been closed. The Condon school is not able to use it, so their gym class, they can't use the pool during the day. But more importantly, the neighborhood, and in the afternoon and weekends, the pool is not open for the neighbors to use. So the Condon Community Center and School has undergone extensive renovations, including an installation of a new liner. But despite these improvements, the pool remains closed for an extended period, limiting access to a vital community resource. It has come to our attention that the final repair, which to me seems very minimal considering a new liner and a lot of money has already been spent, to replace the chlorine pump, which will cost an additional $40,000, is what I've been told. BPS Facilities Department communicated with the principal at the Condon and other stakeholders that they've exhausted their budget and will not be able to complete the final repair, so the pool will remain closed, threatening obviously the fall programming. It's too late, but threatening that in the winter there will not be swimming lessons. This situation is unacceptable, as it is imperative that the city finds the necessary funding to complete the repairs to reopen the pool. The Condon Community Center plays a crucial role in providing swimming lessons in the fall and winter, ensuring that our children swim safely during summer months. The pool poses a safety and equity issue, in my opinion, particularly for the residents of the surrounding housing development who rely on this facility for recreation and swim safety. So I'm hoping that at this hearing we will find out why a small final repair is on hold, and that we can make sure that this funding is released so that the pool is open. And I know that the mayor has really committed to making sure that we have all children have access to swimming lessons and that they're safe in the water during the summer. So I think this is something that needs attention. I'm hoping that it is in my committee, and I'm looking forward to holding this hearing soon so that we can get to this answers. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councillor Flynn. Councillor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Councilor Murphy, for adding me and for your leadership. The Condon School, the Condon Community Center, is on the same street that I live on, and the center itself is located directly in the middle of a public housing development. Most of the children that live there are children of color. It's important that we come up with the funding to provide children of the neighborhood with the opportunity to swim and take swimming lessons. This is an issue I've worked on for 7 years with Mayor Janey at the time, City Councilor Janey, and YMCA, in ensuring that every kid has access to swimming lessons. It doesn't seem like it's a lot of money for the city to come up with, so it's about working together, coming up with a solution, coming up with a plan, working together and providing the resources to make it happen. I'm willing to continue to work with the city in a positive manner, but it's about working together and addressing this issue that's impacting so many families, and especially in the public housing developments. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councillor Weber. Councillor Weber, you have the floor.
I want to thank the councilors for bringing this. It seems very similar to an issue we're having at the Hennigan pool, where the pool has been renovated, but the filtration system hasn't been fixed, and there's an issue between whether this is capital budget or operating or somewhere else, and we can't seem to get the extra, whatever it is, $20,000, $30,000 to have the pool be functional. So I hope you don't mind us looking for answers on that question through this hearing order, but again, eerily similar to what is happening at the Hennigan, and I hope we can get to the bottom of this and make sure it doesn't, we can get these pools up and running. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councillor Murphy. Councillor Murphy, you have the floor.
Sure. Thank you, Councilor Weber. I know there are several times I've filed hearing orders to address all of the pool facilities. This one was specific to the Condon, but more than happy to, when we have, hopefully, in the past several hearings I have sponsored, they did not bring the correct people to get the answers, but it is something that is a problem that we've talked about, even came up last night, where there's this fine line between BPS funding, BPS facilities, public works, public facilities on the city side. But at the end of the day, we're committed to making sure that our pools, our resources are working. So I think together, if we work together on this, we can make sure that wherever the money needs to be whoever has to write out the check. It's a small amount, and a lot of money has already been invested. And I've been told that there are already 3 lifeguards ready to go at the Condon. I believe it's true also at the other pools, so it's not a lifeguard issue at this point. So we need to make sure that we finish what we start. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else looking to speak on this matter? Would anyone else like to add their name? Mr. Clerk, please add Councilors Braden, Durkin, Fernandez Anderson, Fitzgerald, Pepin, Santana, Weber, Worrell. Please add the chair. This docket, there are a number of committees that we thought about this docket going to. I hear your advocacy. I will, and because it is your filing, we've held hearings on this docket, similar dockets in a number of committees. But I will put this one in strong women, communities, and families. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1629?
Docket number 1629, Councilor Pepin offered the following: order for a hearing on health access in Hyde Park.
The chair recognizes Councilor Pepin. Councilor Pepin, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to add Council President Louis Jean as an original co-sponsor.
I'm so added. Councilor Pepin, you have the floor.
Thank you. I filed this hearing to bring light to a grave missing piece in the Southwest Boston, a missing resource in Hyde Park. This large community of over 40,000 people must travel outside of their neighborhood to seek health care that fits their economic, cultural, and specific needs. Hyde Park, unlike most Boston neighborhoods, does not have a community health center nearby, like the Greater Rosno Community Medical and Dental Center or the Mattapan Community Health Center. This is a major concern as resulting from a range of factors. Hyde Park and abutting Mattapan are in the top 3 Boston neighborhoods that have the highest rates of diabetes and heart disease. The other top 3 is Dorchester, which also lost Carney Hospital. The average hospital system in the U.S. serves about 20,000 people. Hyde Park alone has 40,000 people. We need the city to start developing and brainstorming a community health center. This work started a few years ago by one of my predecessors, and it was an innovative, open-minded, and collaborative process, and it was put into the capital budget of FY22 through FY26 to discover how we can bring an excellent opportunity into a city building. That hasn't happened. We want to make sure that we continue the conversation. I want to make sure that I give a shout out to the Hyde Park Health Center work group that is happening right now, spearheaded by Marcia Kim Jackson, who is a fierce leader in Hyde Park. They have been advocating for this for years. I think that it's time to do this. Speaking from personal experience, you know, I had the opportunity growing up going to Brookside Community Health Center in Jamaica Plain, and just seeing how valuable it is to have a health center that you can trust, that you know your doctor, that you know you can get your services. Hyde Park deserves this as well. That's why, for me, it's an honor to introduce you today and continue to work with my community to make sure we make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Pepin, and thank you for adding me. I want to also shout out Marcia Kim Jackson for spearheading this discussion, and your predecessor, Councilor Arroyo, who worked with the administration to get an allocation here. And as a Hyde Park resident, I know that this is a conversation that we are committed to having and seeing through. And so looking forward to the discussion that we will continue to have on this matter. Is anyone else looking to speak on this matter? Would anyone else like to add their name? Mr. Clerk, please add Councilors Braden, Durkin, Fernandez Anderson, Fitzgerald, Flynn, Murphy, Santana, Weber, Worrell. Please add the chair. This docket number 1629, will be referred to the Committee on Public Health, Homelessness, and Recovery. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1630?
Docket number 1630, Councilors Weber and Santana offer the following: resolution recognizing the week of November 3rd through the 9th, 2024 as Election Worker Appreciation Week, and November 4th, 2024 as Election Hero Day in the City of Boston.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Weber. Councilor Weber, you have the floor.
Thank you. First, I'd like to suspend the rules and add Madam President as a third sponsor.
Councilor Weber seeks to suspend the rules to add Council President Louis Jean as the third original co-sponsor. Seeing and hearing no objections, I'm so added. Councilor Weber, you have the floor.
Thank you. You know, it's been said before, but you know, voting is the bedrock of our democracy, and we cannot have free and fair elections without people who do the hard work of staffing our polling locations and counting ballots. Unfortunately, across the country, election officials and poll workers have been under attack due to right-wing misinformation. or straight up calling for intimidation and violence. Last week, the Justice Department gave updates on 4 cases involving interstate threats to election officials, including a death threat against an elected official in Pennsylvania for simply recruiting poll watchers. In a recent poll by the Brennan Center of Justice, data revealed that more than a third of surveyed election officials have experienced threats, harassment, or abuse to their jobs. And in 2024, almost 25% of election officials will be working in their first presidential election. That's because many poll workers do not return after the experience of working in one election. There's a Telegram account that is operated by the Proud Boys, I guess, and it has called for election officials to be, quote, arrested, tried for treason, and hanged, and call for their supporters to, quote, keep your rifles by your side. So I think we should stand and recognize the hard work and the vital work performed by our election workers in the upcoming week. National Election Worker Appreciation Week was established in 2004 by the United States Election Assistance Commission to recognize election workers as unsung heroes. Election Hero Day was established by a nonpartisan group as a national celebration to recognize the tremendous contributions that election officials, their staff, and poll workers make to ensure a safe, secure voting experience for all Americans. That is why I'm filing this resolution in support of all those who are working at the polls and in the election department. I hope you'll join me and declare November 4th as Election Hero Day and November 3rd through November 9th as Election Worker Appreciation Week in the city of Boston. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Santana. Councilor Santana, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to Councilor Weber for filing this resolution and for inviting me to join as an original co-sponsor. It is with great pride that I stand here today to recognize the invaluable contributions of our Boston election officials and poll workers. These individuals work tirelessly through long hours managing our city's 275 precincts and serving over 435,000 voters across Boston. Their dedication not only upholds the right to vote, but reinforces the integrity of our entire democratic system. Despite the challenges of misinformation and personal risk, Boston's election workers continue to perform their duties with remarkable commitment, ensuring that each election is safe, secure, and accessible for all of our eligible voters. This week, we're honoring their unwavering service and foundation they helped build, a foundation of trust in our electoral process. By proclaiming November 3rd through November 9th as Election Worker Appreciation Week and November 4th as the Election Hero Day, we express our deep gratitude and remind our community of the essential role these workers play in protecting our democratic rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Santana, and thank you, Councilor Weber, for adding me. I just want to echo what you both have stated. Our election workers are really the ones upholding democracy. Never have their work been so politicized as it has become lately. And I just want to make sure that we honor them. They're cheering us on when we go vote. They give us our I vote stickers. They wake up early, they end the day late, and just wanted to make sure that we uplift them, uplift our department here, our elections department led by Commissioner Tavares and Sabino, and all the great work that they're doing ahead of the election next week. So thank you for this filing, and I'm really glad to co-sponsor. Councilors Weber, Santana, and Louis-Jean to suspension of the rules and passage of docket number. Oh, would anyone else like to speak on this matter? Would anyone else like to add their name? Mr. Clerk, please add Councilors Braden, Durkin, Fernandez Anderson, Fitzgerald, Flynn, Mejia, Murphy, Pepin, Worrell. Councilors Weber, Santana, and Louis-Jean to suspension of the rules and passage of docket number 1630. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Docket number 1630 has been adopted. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1631?
Docket number 1631, Councilor Flynn offer the following. Resolution in support of Senate 5210, Building Resources and Access for Veterans Mental Health Engagement Act of 2024, or the BRAVE Act of 2024.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Flynn. Councilor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'm asking my colleagues to join me in support of the BRAVE Act of 2024 to improve mental health services at the Department of Veterans Affairs. as we know that there's several hospitals located in Boston, VA hospitals, including Jamaica Plain, West Roxbury, outside of Boston, certainly Brockton. This is a bill that is sponsored by Senator John Tester in the U.S. Congress. The BRAVE Act, S5210, seeks to improve veteran care in three main areas. One, to ensure workers in the field of mental health support for veterans receive fair pay and have proper working conditions. Number two, to ensure the improvement of veteran centers' infrastructure and technology and access to proper information in rural and high-risk areas. And let me just focus on rural areas for a second. Certainly, we live in a large city, but a lot of veterans across the country don't have access to exceptional medical care like we do here in Jamaica Plain, in West Roxbury, or Brockton. Veterans living across the country in rural areas, sometimes it takes them 3 or 4 hours to access a nearby VA hospital. And three, address problems unique to women veterans by conducting surveys and listening sessions to gather information based on their experiences to improve the VA. The Act also requires the VA to incorporate risk factors such as sexual assault and assessment in risk models. Just want to focus briefly on women veterans. It's an issue that this body has discussed and worked on, as well as Commissioner Santiago also. The fastest growing group of patients at the VA medical hospital are women veterans. We need to make sure that the care at the medical hospitals provide women veterans with the quality care that they earned. Gender-specific medical care is critical. Access to women's health services is also critical for women veterans. We're not giving them anything. They've earned these services and programs. Veterans have sacrificed a normal life to put their lives on the line for this country. In return, we must work and ensure that veterans are respected. This act not only allows for the improvement of the veterans centers nationwide, it will also improve care for women veterans, as I mentioned, who experience a host of issues that are not adequately accounted for, as well as to improve pay for those who work and serve our veterans, whether it's here in Boston or across the country. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Is anyone else looking to speak on this matter? Would anyone else like to add their name? Mr. Clerk, please add Councilors Braden, Durkin, Fernandez Anderson, Fitzgerald, Murphy, Mejia, Pepin, Santana, Weber, Worrell. Please add the chair. Councilor Flynn seeks suspension of the rules and passage of docket number 1631. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Thank you. Docket number 1631 has been adopted. Mr. Clerk, would you please read docket number 1632?
Docket number 1632, Councilor Flynn offered the following. Resolution in support of House 8560, the End Veterans Homelessness Act of 2024.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Flynn. Councilor Flynn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm asking my colleagues to join me in supporting H.R. 8560 to make certain improvements to the support housing program for veterans that is commonly known as HUD-VASH. This is a bill sponsored by Representative Mark Tucano. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development have joint initiatives to put an end to veteran homelessness. This bill, H.R. 8650, the End Veteran Homeless Act, would provide case managers who will solely focus on the betterment and assistance of our veterans. It would authorize payment of administrative fees to the public housing agencies for costs of eligible expenses, including vouchers. The bill also makes amendments to HUD-VASH, Housing and Urban Development, Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing programs, and broadens the population of veterans eligible to access these unused vouchers that could lead to permanent housing for more than 20,000 homeless veterans. It will fund the cost for the leasing of vouchers such as security deposit and other expenses related to retention in support of participating owners to improve stability for our homeless veterans and accessibility to the supportive services needed to successfully reintegrate back into civilian life. The HUD-VASH program is currently already a successful program. Modernizing the program will help our country get closer to the goal of ending veteran homelessness. And as we all know, our neighbors right next door to City Hall is the New England Center for Veterans. They do an exceptional job of allowing veterans an opportunity to access drug treatment training there and other services, social services, medical care. Also, it's a place for them to live as well. I also have an opportunity to talk to them monthly at a unique program with St. Anthony's Church, right in downtown Boston. They have a lunch and an opportunity to talk to homeless veterans about issues that are impacting them. And it's a wonderful opportunity. I want to say thank you to the volunteers at this facility, but it's about ensuring that all veterans, including homeless veterans, are given every opportunity to rejoin society, accessing housing, accessing medical care, employment and training, giving them an opportunity to reintegrate back into this city and into this country. They've given so much and they have struggled a lot, but this program, the HUD-VASH program, will help them with housing and hopefully getting back on their feet with an apartment. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Flynn, for this filing. And I'd also just like to obviously extend my support, but also say that the state and the city, Governor Healy, has been doing great work in our efforts here in the Commonwealth to end veteran homelessness. Would anyone else like to speak on this matter? Would anyone else like to add their name? Mr. Clerk, would you please add Councilors Braden, Durkin, Fernandez Anderson, Fitzgerald, Mejia, Murphy, Pepin, Santana, Weber, Worrell. Please add the chair. Councilor Flynn seeks suspension of the rules and adoption and passage of docket number 1632. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Thank you. Docket number 1632 has been adopted. We are now moving on. Okay, before we move on to green sheets, would anyone like to add their name or add their name to a vote while they were not in chambers? No? Okay. Thank you. We are now moving on to green sheets. Also, thank you for all of my colleagues for letting central staff know in advance about your green sheets polls. It has been helpful. The chair recognizes Councilor Santana. Councilor Santana, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Clerk, I would like to pull docket number 1543 for the Committee on Public Safety and Criminal Justice. Docket number 1543 is on page 18 of the green sheets.
Mr. Clerk, could you please read it into the, do you have it?
I have to find it. What page
Okay.
again?
Page 18.
Page 18, docket number 1543.
From the Committee on Public Safety and Criminal Justice, docket number 1543, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amount of $1,202,560.90 in the form of a grant for the fiscal year 2023 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program awarded by the Federal Emergency Management Agency to be administered by the Fire Department. The grant will fund critically needed resources that equip and train emergency personnel to recognize standards, enhance operational efficiencies, foster interoperability, and support community resilience.
Okay, thank you. Absent objection, the motion of the committee chair is accepted and the docket is properly before the body. Councilor Santana, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. The Committee on Public Safety and Criminal Justice held a public hearing on all of the City of Boston grants administered by the Boston Fire Department on June 11, 2024. The committee heard testimony from 3 BFD staff members, Kevin Coyne, who's the Deputy Commissioner, Administration and Finance, Julie Devon, who's the Procurement and Grants Manager, and Shauna Lynch, who's a Grants Manager. We were also joined by Councilors Murphy, Councilor Flynn, Councilor Fitzgerald, Councilor Durkin, Councilor Weber, and Councilor Coletta Zapata, and we received a letter of absence from Councilor Pepen. The panelists testified on each grant administered by BFD, as well as grant trends versus previous years. BFD has also provided the committee with detailed written information on this grant, which I have reviewed as the chair of the Committee on Public Safety and Criminal Justice. This assistance to firefighter grant totaling of a little bit over $1.2 million, with an additional of $120,000 and $120,000 from the BFD grant operating funds is dedicated to training, wellness, and injury prevention for our Boston firefighters. Training includes NFPA 1021 officers training for 74 chief officers, enhancing leadership and safety on the job. In wellness, funding supports a peer-level behavioral health program for suicide prevention and crisis intervention, providing critical mental health resources. Additionally, the Health and Ladders Initiative will provide a clinical director and an injury prevention specialist on board to lead programs in firefighter nutrition and physical fitness, aiming to reduce line-of-duty injuries. As chair of the Committee on Public Safety and Criminal Justice, I recommend moving this docket from the committee to the full council for discussion and informal action. At that time, my recommendation to the council will be that docket number 1543 ought to pass.
Thank you. Okay, the docket is proper before the council. I see some lights on. Are they on this docket or are they green sheets polls? The chair recognizes Councilor Mejia. Councilor Mejia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. It's a point of order, trying to understand. So just so that I understand the process here, we're pulling something from the green sheets up for a vote on a hearing that we had with, because I feel like I've heard this before. This is just a different docket, or is this a new practice? I'm just trying to understand what we're doing these days, because normally, when we have a hearing, we usually bring the hearing up for a vote following the hearing. Now it seems like we're doing things. I'm just trying to understand what the logistics are, what the process is, because I wasn't at the hearing. And if I'm going to be voting for something, I need to, because I feel like I've heard this one before, or I'm not sure, and just because I want to make sure that when I vote, I know what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Through the chair, if you'd like to respond, Councilor Santana, you may.
Yeah, no, thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Councilor Mejia. So this hearing, as on Public Safety and Criminal Justice, we get a lot of grants every week. And what we did earlier this year is that we held a grant and we invited our Boston Fire Department, and we went over all the grants for the year. And in that meeting, we had several counselors who showed up and asked questions, and we discussed every single grant. That way, we didn't have to necessarily hold a grant for every single. We didn't have to necessarily hold a hearing for every single grant that comes through this body. That's the process that we've been going through, and that's why you've heard probably similar statements from me. And I keep repeating that just because it's made a condensed form, just because there's so many grants that come through the body. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Santana. Councilor Fernandez, are you looking to speak on this matter? Is anyone else looking to speak on this matter? Okay. Councilor Santana seeks passage of docket number 1543. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. This docket is passed. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to pull dockets 0289, 0290, and 0291 from the green sheets, page 1.
Thank you, and thank you for informing us of those polls ahead of time. Mr. Clerk, do you have those dockets in front of you? Can you please read them into the record?
From the Committee of Arts, Culture, Entertainment, Tourism, and Special Events, docket number 0289. Message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Nigel Jacobs to the Boston Art Commission for a term expiring December 20th, 2028. Docket number 0290. Message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of James Mason to the Boston Art Commission for a term expiring on December 20, 2028. And docket number 0291. Message in order for the confirmation of the appointment of Abigail Norman to the Boston Art Commission for a term expiring December 20th, 2028.
Thank you. Absent objection, the motion of the committee chair is accepted, and these dockets are properly before the body. The chair recognizes Councilor Fernandez Anderson. You have the floor.
Thank you again, Madam President. These three orders from the mayor for the appointment of individuals to the Boston Arts Commission, an independent board of volunteers that approves and commissions innovative and transformative public artworks around the city in partnership with Arts and Culture and Boston Arts and Culture. And I realized that I had filed a hearing order to discuss appointments in terms of diversity. I then followed up with a meeting with administration. You will, after reading their resumes and meeting with the administration, they are making a real effort toward diversifying or increasing diversity on appointments and commissions. So I wanted to just give you a brief about the three people that are appointed here. Nigel Jacobs previously served as the co-founder of the Mayor's Office of the New Urban Mechanics and was named a Public Official of the Year in 2011 by Governing Magazine. James Mason is the Associate Provost at Massachusetts College of Art and Design. Previous to this, he taught as a professor of fashion design and represented the faculty and librarians as president of local chapter of Massachusetts State College Association. He has over 20 years of experience in fashion retail and retail management. Abigail Norman worked for 17 years as executive director of the Elliott School of Fine and Applied Arts, Boston Arts and Education Organization, inspiring lifelong learning in craft and creativity for all. These three folks, or three appointments, will increase diversity, as I mentioned, and obviously with extensive experience making them qualified. The dockets naming these individuals to the Arts Commission were filed in my committee back in February, and as we get close to the end of the legislative year, I want to ensure that we continue to support our arts community by moving these appointments through. At this time, I'm asking that we accept these confirmations of appointment. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on this matter? Councilor Fernandez Anderson seeks passage of dockets number 0289. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. This docket is passed. Councilor Fernandez Anderson seeks acceptance of docket number 02. The appointment is confirmed. Okay. So on docket number 0289, that appointment is confirmed. Councilor Fernandez Anderson seeks confirmation of the appointment on docket number 0290. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Thank you. Docket 0290. The appointment is confirmed. Councilor Fernandez Anderson seeks passage of docket number 0291. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The appointment for docket number 0291 is confirmed. Is anyone else looking to pull anything from the green sheets? The chair recognizes Councilor Fitzgerald. Councilor Fitzgerald, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam President, I would like to pull docket number 1549 from page 16 of the green sheets. Docket number 1549.
Thank you, Councilor Fitzgerald, and thank you for letting Central staff know ahead of time. Mr. Clerk, do you have that docket in front of you? And if so,
Yes.
can you please read it into the record?
From the Committee on Public Health, Homelessness, and Recovery, docket number 1549. Message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend the amount of $10,000 in the form of a grant for the LGBTQ mental health plan awarded by the United Healthcare Community Plan of Massachusetts to be administered by the Mayor's Office of LGBTQ+ Advancement. The grant will fund community efforts to combat substance abuse and mental illness disparities among the LGBTQ+ community.
Thank you. Absent objection, the motion of the committee chair is accepted and the docket is properly before the body. Councilor Fitzgerald, you have the floor.
To repeat the clerk's words right back to him, this grant, as it states, is a $10,000 grant for the LGBTQ mental health plan awarded by United Healthcare Community Plan of Massachusetts to be administered by the LGBTQ+ Advancement. The grant would fund community efforts to combat substance abuse and mental illness disparities among the LGBTQ+ community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Fitzgerald seeks passage of docket number 1549. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. This docket is passed. Is anyone else looking to pull anything from the green sheets? Okay. We are now moving on to late files. I'm informed by the clerk that there are No late file matters. Good job, everyone. We will not take a vote to add anything to the late file to these matters to the agenda because there's nothing to add. Okay, we are now moving on to the consent agenda. I've been informed by the clerk that there are no additions to the consent agenda. The question now comes on approval of the various matters contained within the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. The consent agenda has been adopted. We are now on to announcements. Please remember these are for upcoming dates and events. I'd like to remind everyone that early voting ends this Friday. Early voting takes place today and on Friday at City Hall, and tomorrow there are locations around the city, including at the Muni in Hyde Park. This weekend, November 2nd, is the 5th Annual Haitian American Young Professionals Awards. It's also, that same night, is the 40 years of female firefighters at Florian Hall. Election Day is next Tuesday. We need to make sure that we all go out and vote. Extremely important that everyone gets out and vote. And if you need information on your polling location, you can find all of that information online. And it's also, this weekend is also the Wing YMCA Legacy Dinner at Empire Garden. Now, if any of my colleagues have any announcements they'd like to make, now is the time. The chair recognizes Councilor Murphy. Councilor Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I invite all my colleagues to the BPS transportation hearing that will be held next week on November 7th. I called a point of order at the last meeting to request your help on getting the data that wasn't included in the 17F that I filed for PM bus arrival data, and that information is very important to, I believe, to have a meaningful hearing. Rule 21, just to remind everyone, the council at the discretion of the president may remand a response from the mayor to a section 17F request if in determination of the president the response does not comply with the request. A subsequent response shall be due in 7 days. So I am also asking, because I haven't heard anything from you or your office yet, is there any update on that information, and did we refile? Because there is no council meeting next week before the November 7th hearing.
So my office is working on it, and we can talk about it after the hearing is, after this meeting is done.
Okay, working on it with them, direct, like we have information that we'll have at the hearing.
I will speak to you when it's done. I've asked the administration. We need to have the conversation, and I will let you know if there's information that I get on my end.
Because this is timely, especially with no council meeting next week, and that's why I asked.
There's a council meeting next
after
Wednesday.
the weekend, next week after. But I asked last week for your help.
Yeah, and I'm telling you that I'm helping you, and we can speak after the meeting.
Oh.
We can speak after the meeting.
Thank
The chair recognizes Councilor Santana. Councilor Santana, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to offer a reminder that as announced during last week's council meeting, the City Council's application portal for vacancies on the Office of Police Accountability, known as OPAT boards, the Civilian Review Board, and the Internal Affairs Oversight Panel went live last Wednesday. My thanks again to Central staff for all their work on that, including sending out a detailed information yesterday to all the councilors and councilor staff. I encourage everyone to take a look at that email from Michelle Goldberg if you haven't already. I just wanted to highlight a couple items from that email. The application deadline is Saturday, November 30th, and councilors are encouraged to share the application portal through their communication channels and may also personally invite eligible community members to apply. My thanks to Central staff for also providing graphics that were created for your convenience to share on your social media and emails list if you don't want to create your own materials. Central staff will provide councilors with all eligible submitted applications by December 2, and the council will hold a working session on Friday, December 6 at 10 a.m. The email from Central staff sent to everyone has all the details on that and the rest of the process, as well as answers to common questions. Please reach out to Central staff or my office with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Weber. Councilor Weber, you have the floor.
Thank you. I want to congratulate the Curley and JP and the Mattahunt Elementary School in Councilor Pepin's district. Special Olympics Massachusetts is recognizing the schools for their efforts to provide inclusive sports and activities for students with and without disabilities. The Curley and the Mattahunt received this distinguished status as a result of meeting 10 national standards of excellence in the areas of inclusion, advocacy, and respect. Congratulations to those two schools and their school leaders for becoming national banner schools under the Special Olympics Unified Sports Standards. I also want to congratulate John Miller, who has coached soccer with Parkway Youth Soccer in West Roxbury since 1984, and he's retiring. And I'd like to thank him for his service and congratulate everyone who participated in Parkway Soccer with the soccer season ending this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Weber. Is there anyone else? The chair recognizes Councilor Mejia. Councilor Mejia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to rise to let you all know that Parties with a Purpose is going to be hosting alongside the Greater Mattapan Neighborhood Council an event tomorrow from 3 to 7:30 at 1518 Blue Hill Ave. It is a Halloween party for the kiddos, so come through. And I also want to acknowledge that there is another organization called Boston Youth Organizing Project, and let me just make sure that I am saying all the right things, but they're also hosting an event for young people tomorrow let me tell you where it is. And while I wait, want to give a shout out again to, let me shut up and keep focused here. Well, I don't have the details, but they are also having a Halloween party. You can follow me on my Instagram to get the details, but I want to just give a shout out to Phoenix, who is organizing it alongside Boston Youth Organizing Project. They're going to be hosting a Halloween shindig tomorrow.
Thank you. Would anyone else have any announcements? Okay. We are going to be hosting Halloween here tomorrow at City Council for the little kiddos. We start decorating at 9:30. They'll come at 10:30, so I hope all of my colleagues can come. They're the very cutest, and we'll have candy for them. But please bring decorations and candy. It was a lot of fun last year to greet the kids who are here in daycare, and I hope all of my colleagues can make it. And lastly, want to continue to uplift our 14th Councilor, Mike, as he is in rehab and recovery. So just, Mike, we continue to think of you. And I also want to thank Councilor Weber for the adorable lunch and learn that you had prior to this meeting with the MSPCA Angel and with pups from there. So thank you for that lunch and learn, and thank you for all the work that they do, especially the work that they do in partnership with our animal control department led by Director Trzynski. They do incredible work on not enough resources, and just want to uplift them. We are now moving on to memorials. If anybody would like to speak on behalf of anyone who has passed, now is the moment. Councilor Durkin, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Council President. I stand in remembrance of Glenn Durkee today. He was a man who was homeless and for most of his life, and was at the corner of Cambridge and Bowdoin Street. I have his picture here. I know a lot of us knew him. Over 100 people gathered earlier this month to honor him. He passed away on October 7th, and this Monday, over 100 neighbors and community members gathered at his corner to honor his life, bringing flowers, letters, and cards. And I want to thank Benjamin Norton and the community for organizing this. I saw him on the daily, and there were days where he was missing, and I wondered where he was. And for the past couple of weeks, I kind of wondered where he was. And over Christmas, I know people would buy him gift cards, and people really took care of him, but he also really took care of the street. I want to thank him. Sorry, I'm getting emotional, for his positive impact on the community. And I think why I'm getting so emotional is we live in a world where people of different socioeconomics, people of different incomes, people who are housed and unhoused can't always feel empathy for each other. And this week in District 8, people really came together to honor him. I think it honestly brought back a sense of humanity. We get kind of beat down on issues of where people are unhoused are supposed to live, and supportive housing and other opportunities for people to create opportunities for people. And Glenn was someone that I got texts from numbers I don't even know honoring him, and really creating space for a conversation of, like, we thought this one person was just important to us, but he was important to an entire community. And today, on behalf of the Boston City Council, I hope we can all honor him and take take his memory. He was someone who watched his block, cared about his community, interacted with the police when he needed to share what happened about different incidences. And his impact on the community is going to be felt, and we are really going to miss him on his corner. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Durkin. I've seen a number of people uplifting his name and his memory, and so just thank you for honoring him in this space. The chair recognizes Councilor Pepen. Councilor Pepen, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This is more of a call for a prayer. On Friday night, there was a very nasty fire in Hyde Park, and the family lost their house completely, but unfortunately, in the midst of a fire, the 16-year-old son was caught in the fire, and he's fighting for his life right now at the hospital. I was at the hospital this morning with the mom. She asked me to ask everyone here to pray for her and her son. Brigham Women's staff are taking good care of him, but he's definitely fighting for his life at this moment. So to my council colleagues, please pray for this young man. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll keep that family in our prayers. The chair moves that when the council adjourns today, it does so in memory of the aforementioned individuals. And let me read some names. On behalf of Councilor Durkin, Glenn Durkee. On behalf of Councilor Flynn, Ron Perry Sr., American athlete. On behalf of myself, Mary Charité Aurélien and Jean Udez Paul. A moment of silence. The council is scheduled to meet again in the Ionella Chamber on Wednesday, November 6, 2024 at 12 noon. Happy voting next Tuesday. Thank you to my colleagues, central staff, the clerk and the clerk's office, and the council stenographer. Thank you, Ellen. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye. The council is adjourned. And thank you, Neil.